heard these
banking
things.
literacy is not
Yeah.
there. That's just because of the lack of banking literacy,
Yeah, exactly.
they're not believing. So I think it's not the belief first, but it's the banking literacy thing.
I mean, then the notion comes in, right? And beliefs are propagated. So, for example, if let's say I know 5 people in my family who say Islamic banking is the same thing as conventional banking,
Okay.
and I am sure they can't understand half the products. They're my
Yeah.
elders, but this is their belief.
Okay.
They're not going to take the time. They're not going to take. They don't
Take
take
out
the
the
time to
time.
learn how to use a smartphone. My father does not take the time to learn how to use a smartphone. He's not
Yeah.
going to take the time to learn to use Islamic banking. He's in his
True.
60s,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Okay. I
So
understand,
he's not going to take the time to learn how this product works. So that's the thing. I mean, and then there is a it depends upon the level of literacy. It depends upon the level of financial literacy. Financial literacy is a big issue as well these days, right? People are trying to educate their kids on learning how to use finance properly, how to save properly. Literacy, financial literacy, big issues. And then Islamic banking obviously has benefits, but you need to tell people what the benefits are. And when you go and see the Islamic banking advertisements or you see the campaigns, nobody tries to explain those benefits.
Yeah. True.
Have you ever seen a campaign that tried to explain a commodity muraba to somebody?
No.
Or tried to explain how Islamic home finance, which is based on, let's say, a lease to own model, is better than a conventional home finance? Nobody's going to try to explain to any customer on that. Nobody.
So you would say that one was the belief thing.
The belief side, the education side, financial literacy, these are all contributing factors. See, conventional banking has been around for like hundreds of years.
Yeah.
Maybe 500, 600 years around. Maybe money lenders have been around for 1,000 years. Still, from the time of the Prophet, before the time of the Prophet, money lenders have been there, right? So banking has been there since before Islam. So banking, people understand. Maybe to a certain extent, they understand some parts of it. Money lending, they understand. So they think this is you're giving me something, you're charging a rate. This is money lending. They think it's the same thing.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody.
You believe that's one of the reasons which
That
is
is-
causing hindrance to the overall
That is one
growth
of
of
the-
cross-selling
that is
as well.
one of the reasons that causes hindrance to the growth of selling Islamic products to the people who are not taking banking products. The guy who's taking banking, who's using conventional banking and conventional financing, for him using the Islamic product, this is also a benefit that if you try to educate him. So I'll give you my example. So if
Yeah.
you tell him that Islamic home financing is better than conventional home financing, he will, if you explain it properly, he will take it at a higher cost to you. There are instances of people who are safer. So I'll give an example of a person I know. This is a live instance. He had a property here he booked a property here before the financial crisis hit. And thank God the financing that he took was Islamic, from a Islamic financing provider, not a
Okay.
bank, from a Islamic financing provider.
Okay.
The property never got finished. The financing provider could not charge him could not recover that money from him. So he financed off-plan property. Property got delayed, didn't get finished for 5 years more. If that was a conventional finance, he would have had to pay the profit per interest on a property that he never had.
Yeah.
Where, in this particular case, that provider financed an off-plan property, so he assumed that risk. That this property is going to get completed on time, this person is going to get possession, then he's going to pay me the lease back. That never happened for 5 years. So they tried to get their money back. They educated, but the court ruled in the favor of the
person.
Of the person. There was a group of persons, not just one person.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
All the people who did, it was not one person. There were a lot of people. So they had a court case, and they said, they don't owe you anything because of Islamic financing.
Yeah.
So people don't see that. People don't know that. This is an interesting bit. I'm giving you an example. I have an apartment. If tomorrow, let's say, there's a war, that building gets destroyed, no insurance is going to pay me for war risk.
True.
How's the bank gonna recover the money they've lent me? They can't. They don't have any legal claim to me. Okay, I lose the portion I have put in as equity, but then they are assuming an immense risk. If you go to a country like Pakistan, your car gets stolen, you'll never find it again. Okay?
True.
You'll never find it again. It's not like here. I mean, you don't even need to insure. I don't even need to insure anything here. So, your car gets stolen, you'll never find your car again. If it's Islamic, if it's a conventional finance, you keep on paying. There are people actually.
Even after your car is.
You'll keep on paying. I'll tell you, there's a person I know. I'm giving you a live instance. There's a person whose car was stolen in this country, and it was never recovered. And for some reason, and it was financed, obviously, most of things are financed, they had to obviously pay off the car. Car was stolen, never recovered. A case was never registered for some reason. They never got their money back. They lost the car. Insurance didn't pay because the police never registered a case. So the car is gone. You still have to pay back the financing.
True.
So, I mean, bank assumes huge amounts of risk here. Normal person, if I am a sane person and you give me even at a higher price, I should take it. So a conventional guy who's using financing always should go for Islamic financing if you explain to him what is the additional benefit. But I think maybe the banks are afraid to explain all those benefits because they see customers might exploit those benefits. So the Islamic financing is beneficial to customers, but then maybe the banks, the reason they don't really explain all those added benefits is because the customer, if tomorrow something goes wrong, the customers will focus on exploiting those benefits.
Yeah, so just one, and that explains a lot why there's no, educational campaigns,
So, in short, Islamic banks want to be conventional banks.
So, yeah.
So
my last question to you would be: can Islamic financial service industry can do more to improve cross-selling and performance gains?
they can do if they educate people will come to Islamic banks. Even guys who do conventional banking will come to Islamic bank. They will come, and then obviously there is a big demand for Islamic assets. So if you think about sukuks, there is a huge appetite for sukuks in the world. If tomorrow, let's say you're an issuer and you issue a sukuk, there's a lot of people who want to buy sukuks. Because sukuks are less risky than bonds.
Yeah.
Because most of the time there is an actual physical asset there.
Yeah, but there have been cases recently where, it's written the policy that they do not have any recourse to the underlying asset in case if a default happens. So
this is the problem.
It's a bit tricky to say,
This is the big problem. See, this is the big problem. That there are certain people who want to do Islamic banking, they want to issue Islamic instrument, but they want the payoff or the risk profile of a conventional instrument. So you want to issue a sukuk which has no assets or no recourse to the actual thing, or you structure it in such a way that it's for example, so your onshore entity, you structure it offshore, it's always structured as an offshore entity, and they have some kind of recourse on the onshore assets, but that would never happen because the courts would never let it happen. Okay, so their intentions are not right? So there's nothing wrong with Islamic banking.
Yeah,
the intention of that guy. If I'm a let's say an issuer, and if I'm a business, or if I need to borrow money, and if I have assets and I want to securitize it, I will securitize those assets. I'll write security on top of them, and then obviously I'll issue. If my intentions are good, people don't want to do that. That's wrong. There's something wrong with Islamic banking. You can do that. So you can do asset-based financing. There's a big demand for that. People will be happy because they have less risk. A lot of people will invest. But then, you need to be willing to do that. If you can, if people are able to borrow money without pledging anything, governments are able to borrow billions. One of the local state-owned entities has borrowed almost 11 billion in the recent six months. It's public knowledge. In the markets, in the issuance market, they borrowed 6 billion. They had no debt. They borrowed. They're starting to borrow. They can borrow clean without posting any assets. Why should they go into Islamic banking and put collateral?
But what about collaterals? No collaterals.
No collaterals. Even senior debt has no. It's usually senior unsecured, right? Most of the debt that is issued these days is senior unsecured, junior unsecured. There is no security in any debt. So people can raise money without posting security. Why should they? And people don't. Islamic products are complex. You need to you need to go through the documentation.
Yeah,
see what is the security. Like the example you gave, there is no recourse. There eventually is no asset. There might be an asset mentioned somewhere, but when you try to get to it, you'll probably never be able to get to it.
Yeah.
So they said this is as good as unsecured because we'll never get to that asset.
So, just to conclude the whole discussion here, so you're just telling me it's about more to do with the literacy, people getting them, proper education about Islamic banking.
Yeah.
So that was the only...
That will
improve. And is there any other thing that you believe that should improve to the cause of cross-selling?
Yeah, then we talked about the fact that to sell stuff, you need to be able to incentivize people who sell stuff. I mean, if you're selling shoes in a shoe store, you need to incentivize there are companies who have a very good sales culture. They incentivize salespeople very well.
So I can include sales culture there.
Sales culture, I mean, Islamic banks is more laid back, more conventional sales culture. Not all of them. I will not say all of them. Some of them. So, I mean, that the focus on running campaigns, incentivizing people for selling stuff, running incentives on selling stuff. That sales culture thing, maybe to a
What about like this firm, this bank? Do you believe it's?
I think we are somewhere in the spectrum. We are not perfect. We can improve a lot. We can learn a lot from the other banks. But there are considerations to running things, and there might be Sharia. I can't say that it's a matter of just one guy's fault or leadership fault or this. There might be Sharia implications on running things. There might be other implications. There might be the parent shareholder might not want that kind of a bank. It depends upon what kind of institution you want.
Yeah,
but like if, for example, if you want a for-profit institution and you want to make, if you want to run a good cross-sell, good cross-sell culture, if you want to cross-sell as much as possible, the things I mentioned, you do shared scorecards, you incentivize not only the relationship but the cross-sell people as much as possible to get they will do their maximum efforts. They will try to do as much as possible because they're getting return. They're getting you're sharing. I mean, you're putting work. You're sharing in the reward of that work. So if you can apply that to something like somebody selling watches, somebody selling shoes. Some shops you go to in London. If you go to London, the guy is going to try his best to sell you something. You go to a jewelry shop here, the guy is not even going to bother talking to you. You ask him a question. I mean, so aren't you really that interested in selling anything to me? What is the reason for that? It's because it doesn't matter to me. Because I'm all fixed. I don't get anything extra. I said, so you don't have a target to sell? I don't have a target to sell.
There's no motivation there.
Yeah. So that thing, I mean, you will see this in any industry. I'm giving you live examples. I go down there and I ask them, why don't you were trying, there's something happened. I said, you're getting something out of it. Why don't you want to? You go down here into a Rolex showroom in Abu Dhabi, anywhere, and you'll see it's empty. You go to any part of the world and see how the salespeople treat you. They don't have any sales budgets here. The salesman does not have a sales target. So that's... I mean, he might have a target, but he doesn't have an incentive. I don't think he has a target. So maybe he has a target, but he surely doesn't have an incentive. So he will not try. So, I mean, you need to have those things. But see, for example, if I can do X, you want me to do X plus 2, you want me to do X plus 3, you want me to do X plus 4, I'll do it only for so long.
Yeah.
Because the reason is that what is the incentive? It's human nature. What is the incentive to me to put 130% of my efforts into doing something when it's okay to put in 60 and be okay? You get the same reward.
Yeah.
You get the same compensation for doing 60. Why do you want to do 120?
True.
So that applies to every organization, conventional Islamic. Islamic organizations usually behind on this curve. The reason for that is because of the reasons we discussed.
Yeah.
So they don't want to do it because maybe they feel that if you do